A Piece of Me by Matt Kimmich. I am sitting in front of the television on my favourite chair. It's been an uneventful day. Now, while I'm sitting there, the doorbell rings. This in itself is unusual, because I'm not expecting anyone. I get up, walk towards the door and look through the fisheye. There's a man outside, dressed in a blue uniform, almost like a postman's uniform. He also has that typical unconcentrated postman look on his face, like he's already thinking about what he'll do once the job is done. As I said, I'm not expecting anyone, so this is a bit of a surprise. I open the door. He gives me a flat look. Mr. He glances at the pad he's holding and says my name. Yes. I'm here for your thumb. I frown. I don't have the slightest clue what he's talking about, so I say, "You're here for my thumb?" He shrugs. "Your thumb. I'm here to collect your thumb." I'm taken aback. Why would you want my right thumb, or any of my thumbs for that matter? It's not that I want it, I'm just here to collect it. He gestures towards a digit in question, and almost ashamed, I hide it behind my back. Understandably, I'm quite confused. "Do you have a warrant or something?" The man smiles and nods. He's probably confused as me at this point, but now he feels on safe ground. Of course I have one. Here it is. He produces a sheet of paper from his bag, a sheet that has official government markings on it. I read through it, and although I don't quite understand, I accept it. The man is entitled to come and collect my thumb. I gesture somewhat helplessly with my two hands now, not quite clear what the procedure is. "Oh, no problem. You just hold out your right thumb, like that, yeah. Thank you. This won't take a second." The uniformed man takes a small device from his bag, and I follow his directions. Holding the thing against my right thumb, he pushes a button and the finger just comes off. I'm pleasantly surprised that there's only a short tingling sensation, but no pain and no blood. As I look up from my hand, I see him put my thumb in a government-based bag and put it away. Then he hands me a receipt. "Thank you. That'll be all. Enjoy the rest of your evening." He gives me a curt nod, neither friendly nor unfriendly, and walks away down the hall. Still somewhat confused, I close the door on his back and look at my right hand. There's no scar or anything. It's almost as if I never had a thumb. After putting the yellow receipt on the TV table, I get myself a beer from the fridge and notice it's a bit more difficult now to open it. Finally I manage and sit down in front of the television in my comfy chair. A few minutes later, the doorbell rings again. I get up, spilling some of the beer over my sweatshirt, and I'm wiping at the stain with my sleeve. I open the door. It's the uniformed man again, giving me an apologetic smile. "Sorry to bother you, sir. It's just I have to collect your left arm." My left arm? I'm stunned. "I'm sorry, I have the paperwork here, you know." The man shifts his weight from one leg onto the other, looking past me into my flat. "Nice place. I like the print over the television." Feeling uncomfortable at him looking at my home, I move forward and obscure his view. "Can I have a look at these papers?" He says yes, and quickly I scan over the sheet. It looks practically the same as the previous warrant, only now it contains a claim for my left arm, 10 centimetres below the collarbone. With a sigh, I say, "Go ahead." With a larger version of the device he'd used on my thumb, he removes my left arm. Again, no pain, but it feels strange not having its weight there below my left shoulder. "If you have any complaints, sir, you can file them at the address printed on the receipt. There," he says, pointing at the yellow sheet of paper he's just handed me. Yeah. Good evening." Not waiting for his answer, I close the door, crumpling the receipt a bit in the process. Then I walk over to my chair and sit down. I take a close look at the receipts, but they're not very helpful. Sure, they look official and correct and everything, and the language isn't too bureaucratic compared to other documents I've read. The only thing they're not really clear about is the reason why I have to give my left arm and my right thumb. I read through the receipts, twice even, but don't get anything useful from them. I decide to write a complaint letter tomorrow, knowing that I probably will have forgotten by the time I go to bed. I have just seen a news report from a faraway country when the doorbell rings again. I push myself up from my chair with some difficulty, awkwardly trying to keep my balance with only one arm. It's the man again, and he's holding out the warrant for me to read. "Busy evening for you tonight then, is it?" I say. "Busy evening for the two of us, I'd say," he says. "I know it must be a nuisance for you, but..." "Oh, it's not your fault, I'm sure," I reply with less conviction than might be called for. "It's like taxes. Everybody complains about them, but we all know they're probably necessary, right?" I give him a smile, feeling sorry for him. He looks as if he preferred to be somewhere else, doing something else. I know the feeling. But I try not to make him feel too uncomfortable. One shouldn't shoot the messenger. "Absolutely. Right leg. Just below the knee this time." He's already taken out his gadget and I hold out my leg. Well, right bag. That's not so bad. I should be able to keep my balance with my right arm. I give a somewhat forced laugh. "You're not going to take that as well, are you?" The uniformed man shakes his head. Like many people, he's one of those who lose their sense of humour when he puts on a uniform. And I would too with that kind of uniform. "No, just your right leg. There we are. Thank you." "Thank you," I say, emphatically, but the sarcasm obviously is lost on him. I watch him put my right leg into a large government-issue bag. The scar on my shin is clearly visible, although I can't remember where I got that. The limb doesn't quite fit in the bag, and I catch a glimpse of the toes through the plastic. I shake my head, close the door, and hop back inside. Fortunately, I manage to make it to my chair before I fall over. The TV is still showing survivors from enemy attacks down in that faraway country. They're a lot worse off than me, I think, looking at the stump just below the right knee. They say that people who lose limbs still feel phantom itches, but I don't feel anything. I still don't know the reason for all of this, but the government wouldn't spend its money, the taxpayers' money, our money, if it didn't have good reasons. My friends tell me that my attitude is almost criminally naive, but still it's better than their cynical, jaded attitude. I'm startled from my thoughts when the doorbell rings. Not again, I think, and I groan and try to get up. Just a minute, I shoot, propping myself up in my chair. With 2 uneven jumps, I make it to the table and finally get to the door, my knee wobbling from the unusual exertion. No surprise as I open the door. "Working long hours tonight, are we?" I say, and the uniformed man shrugs. "What is it this time?" He points, and I blush. I can't mean that. I point as well, and he nods. "My fruit and nuts, for want of a better metaphor. My gear, you know." The man seems somewhat embarrassed, which I find comforting. And to his credit, he turns away as I pull down my trousers and boxer shorts. At least he won't need one of the big bags this time, I think. And almost choke on my hysterical laughter. This would be just the moment that old Mrs. Caldy across the hall opens the door to see us, and I can just imagine what kind of gossip she'd spread. "Okay, that's it. Really sorry about this." Yeah. I pull up my trousers, half surprised because they used to be a tight fit. "Here's your receipt. Good night." I don't really notice him leaving, nor me closing the door and hopping back into my chair. There must be a reason behind this. It couldn't be a mistake, I'm sure. There must be some kind of a system, something I've done wrong. Anxiously, I try to remember exactly what I was doing when he turned up for the first time. One thing comes into my mind immediately, and I quickly grab the remote. What else? I can't say. There must have been something. I'm sure there is always a reason. I let go of everything I'm holding and close my eyes. Very slowly, almost by instinct, I curl up in a ball and start to breathe more slowly. Just to make sure I empty my thoughts, ready to be interrupted at any moment by the ring of the doorbell.